Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Techno Electric and Engineering Company Limited Q4 FY21 earnings conference call hosted by Asian Market Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Amber Sinha from Asian Market Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aisha. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Asian Market Securities, I would like to welcome everyone for 4Q FY21 earnings conference call of Techno Electric and Engineering Company Limited. We have with us today Mr. P.P. Gupta, Chairman and Managing Director, Mr. Ankit Saraiya, Director of the company, along with their management team representing the company. We shall start with the opening remarks from the management, and then we will move to the Q&A session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Amber. Very good afternoon to all of you, and I'm grateful to be part of our investors conference call. I welcome once again everybody to discuss our financial results for the quarter ending 31st March 2021. First of all, I would like to wish everyone to be safe and healthy as the times are extremely challenging, and I trust most of you must have been vaccinated by now. Anything said on this call which reflects our outlook for the future or that could be construed as a forward-looking statement must be reviewed in conjunction with the risks that the industry or our company faces. Full year results are not comparable on year-on-year basis due to the impact of COVID in the last year, first quarter of April-June 2020, when we almost lost 3 months, and we continue to be impacted with local lockdown and quarantine rules by different states. As such, the present results may please be considered as if the year was of 9 months only. Let me quickly highlight our performance for the last quarter, previous quarter, year 21. The total revenue stands at rupees 214.79 crore, up by 88%. Revenue from EPC stands at 212 crores, up by 78%. EBITDA for the company stands at 18.95 crores. The operating profit for the EPC segment for the quarter is at 32 crores compared to 15 crores last year. Other income is at 8.6 crores. The profit before tax for this quarter is 14.94 crores and profit after tax is 8.81 crores. The EPS for this quarter stands at 1.18 crores. The full year detail, the revenue is at 889.22 crores. The revenue from EPC business is at 789 crores. We have been able to cover most of the ground despite lower revenue in the first quarter due to the COVID impact. As such, this may be taken as a 9 months revenue. Revenue from wind segment is at 100 crores approximately compared to 90 crore last year. The company, this includes the differential tariff charges of 0.975 per unit on units built during the year 1920 and 2021, totaling to 35.85 crore, while APTEL impunched order dated 28/1/2021. Setting aside the TNERC tariff order of March 18, where the tariff was reduced to 2 rupee 14 paisa as against 3 rupee 12 paisa earlier, 10 paisa earlier, and confirming that the tariff of the prior period, that is rupees 3.10, will continue to be enforced till further orders. Additionally, we have also provided or written off rupees 11 crore of revenue booked in the year 17-18 on account of REC pricing as per regulatory order, which reduced the floor price to 1,000 from 1,500 for the unsold inventory then. EBITDA for the company stands at 216 crores. The operating profit for the EPC segment was maintained compared to last year, which stands at 144 crore approximately compared to 140 crore last year. Operating profit margin is at for EPC segment is at 18% compared to 17.9% last year on year. EBITDA for the wind segment is at 72 crores. The other income is at 83 crores compared to 44 crores last year. It includes profit from the sale of our transmission asset in Haryana that is named as Jajjar KT transmission asset, and we made a profit of rupees 28 crores as capital gain, and additionally we received a dividend from the company of rupees 15.80 crores. As such, the gain out of the sale is around 43.80 crores, which is part of 83.5 crores. Profit before tax for the year is at 250 crores approximately compared to 213 crores, and profit after tax is at 204 crores compared to 177 crore last year on standalone basis. The EPS is at 18.22 crores, and the value of current investments including cash and cash equivalents stands at 800 crores in the company. The order intake last year has been only around 450 crores, but we are L1 in various orders worth more than 600 crores, which could not be decided. Additionally, we have also participated in tenders for more than 3,000 crores, the results of which are still awaited. So if we take L1 in the order book, it will be around 1,000 crores on an average. Our unexecuted order book as of date is 1920 crores approximately. But the outlook is very great, I will say. We expect a larger business out of the FGD segment, AMI segment, and also our new segment where we are in that is data centers. In FGD segment, will continue to be in focus for next 3 to 4 years. As per notification of Government of India, all coal-fired power stations need to limit their sulfur emission as notified by the Pollution Department and further classified by Central Electricity Authority by December 2023. There is a considerable progress with CPSU in ordering the projects for implementation of these solutions, but the same will now be happening with SEBs and private sectors more strongly. We expect business of around 12 billion in this year only, and this level of business will continue for next 3 to 4 years as 50 gigawatt is yet to be ordered out of the remaining units with CPSUs, SEBs and private sector at least, if not 100 gigawatts. So maybe there will be further time extension by government going forward. Coming to transmission segment, we expect it will be a status quo and will be largely limited to the evacuation in renewable power as we had stated last year. There is an ongoing TBCB bidding of 66 gigawatt of of evacuation of renewable power to meet the target of 175 gigawatts, and we trust this will be over by September 21, but earlier it was supposed to be completed by December 2020. But due to COVID, this has been extended and some of them have been refloated. Against the bid submission, we plan to bid for at least 7 projects totaling to 3,500 crores and expect to win one at least, if not 2. The union budget additionally also provides for 3.05 lakh crore and restated by FM yesterday in the stimulus package for power distribution sector to be released over 5 years, and fund will be released based on financial performance and viability demonstration by the distribution companies. So this area continues to be of huge concern to the government and lot more need to be done. We are also finding good interest as well as traction from the various InvIT funds and large investors, large PE funds to participate in above bids by making the company a significant partner, trusting that there is no development risk by partnering Techno. This will enhance our access to capital that will help us in bidding for more than one project, albeit a little more aggressively. A bidding segment on the distribution side, we see a lot of activity happening going out, and particularly in the case of prepaid automatic meters or smart meters, and also the power distribution networks will also be strengthened and made a lot more smarter and intelligent as a backup to the meter. The objective, a main aim of the government is to improve efficiency and contain losses, so the health of the DISCOMs could be improved. Additionally, government is also desirous to provide consumer a choice of power suppliers, which still remain a dream after 20 years, nearly 17 years of Electricity Act in place. And even open access also is not in place as desired. We had mentioned earlier that we are interested for a project in the state of J&K for balanced 9 lakh meters, and we hope this will be procured this year. And as you all know, we are already executing a project for 2 lakh meters, which has acquired POC status by now. Apart from this, there are readings in media that government is also utilizing this opportunity for reforming the sector, which are overdue and are being carried out in the name of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And although these reforms are also a long-standing demand of the stakeholders in the sector and as well as the need of the consumers or public at large. This is holding up the amendments to the Electricity Act, amendment to the tariff policy, and elimination of cross-subsidy, payment of subsidy directly to the power consumers, and a lot of planning is made by CA to give a visibility over the next 3 to 5 years. We are very hopeful that power sector is at a critical juncture and something good should happen going forward. Wind segment. We are again facing headwinds because of the DISCOMs being poorer by every passing day and not having enough money to pay. It has impacted not only the tariff but also the payments. We hope to realize our pending payments of last 2 years shortly out of the 1.2 lakh crore package announced by the Finance Minister through REC PFC to the DISCOMs to pay to the generators of their dues up to September 2020. We have already received around rupees 58 crore in the last quarter, out of our total dues of 132 crores. That is tranche 1. The tranche 2 has certain conditions precedent which have to be complied by the DISCOMs to facilitate the release of the same, and is expected that in this coming quarter we'll be able to get that money. Additionally, we have been speaking about the REC price issue since the last few quarters. There is no trading of REC happening after the stay order of APTEL in July 2020. APTEL has allocated fast track hearing in the first week of July, and we hope to receive the order by July end. As committed in the last quarter, we will be recovering our performance of last year and shall be executing at least 50% of unexecuted order booking during the year, and also part of the new orders to be booked during the coming year. The next 3 years are going to be full of growth, as we can foresee. Whatever growth we have lost in last 3 years will be made up in coming 3 years. In the coming years, we also see a strong power sector reforms with focus on efficiency, stable and reliable power supply, cost of power, and improvement of overall financial health of the sector. The focus will continue on renewable power with related transmission infrastructure as green corridors. The transmission infrastructure is required for 500 gigawatt over next 10 years. Our thrust on overseas market is also bearing fruits. We are hopeful of bagging further orders from the markets of Africa and Afghanistan. And our FM have also yesterday confirmed a package of financial assistance of 33,000 crore for exports. Data center, COVID-19 has impacted our life in multiple ways, but one positive outcome of this is the growth in the digital space. This is a huge development. With the growth in the digital activities all around us, obviously there will be more digital data to be handled, and also backed by now IT policy of the government on data privatization or in-house. It is expected that the third-party data centers industry or data center infrastructure will grow significantly from the current level of 500 megawatt to at least plus minus 2 megawatt in next 3 years. And this will definitely be seeing a further growth like renewable powers. Till date, most of the data centers are located in Mumbai, where undersea cable was available. But now for last 1 year, Chennai has become the hub also after the installation of undersea cable. Airtel, Adani and NTT are already in the process of setting up of data centers at Chennai. We have also, Techno is also in advanced stage of setting up of data center of 30 megawatt of IT load of ultra scalable hyper density, for which the land has already been acquired in Sirisuri, in the industrial estate next to TCS campus, and the project is under construction. Additionally, we will captively consume the operational wind power capacity of under 11.90 megawatts to classify the data center as carbon neutral. That aligns with the policy of major hyperscale customers like Microsoft, Google, etc., because of their ESG commitments. So we see a double whammy rewards out of this business, which will grow strongly in the coming next 3 to 4 years. I will ask my son to cover more on this point. Ankit, can you take over now?
Yeah, sure. So I think Our plan is to actually grow this segment from just one data center of 30 megawatt to at least 250 to 300 megawatt of total capacity of data centers over the next 3 years. We are beginning with Tamil Nadu, and maybe as the next project we may go to Calcutta, as Calcutta is also seeing development of an undersea cable landing station at Digha at West Bengal by Reliance Jio. That also should get commissioned by 2022, hopefully by March, and we should be able to see Calcutta becoming an attractive destination, because as of now there is not much data center activity over there, though there is demand of data by the consumer. And West Bengal is the gateway to Northeast, serving Bihar, Orissa additionally, and can become an export of data center to markets like Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal. Calcutta might become a very, very interesting proposition, considering that there will be limited development of data centers, considering the market as such overall. But as we speak, we are seeing a lot of interest from Airtel, STT, as few other data center operators now scouting Calcutta parallelly along with Techno. We are in advanced stage of land allotment from the state government. Hopefully, we should be able to get a land allotment in Calcutta in next 6 months' time and initiate that project as well. Additionally, we have shortlisted land in Hyderabad, right opposite where Amazon is developing the captive data center. That should become our third project going forward, and then maybe we will start targeting Navi Mumbai and Noida as our fourth and fifth installation. So the overall idea is to develop about 250 to 300 megawatt of data centers over the next 3 years' time. And as mentioned, we are leveraging both our verticals, which is EPC and renewable energy. So it adds to the capabilities of the company, and it is a natural extension to what we have been doing till date. The total investment, hopefully, we'll be able to make up about a couple of $2 billion in this industry going forward. And we are looking for a strong strategic partner to handhold us during this journey, who should be able to take anywhere between 51 to 74% in this venture, while Techno holding 26 to 49%. And we'll be de-risking our data center operation and customer acquisition capability by holding a strong strategic partner along with us, while Techno will take on the development risk and ultimately offload the data center to the strategic partner and come out of the asset as we have practiced previously in BOT projects. So that being the business plan, hopefully we'll be able to see good deployment of capital over the next 2-3 years, along with a strong strategic partner behind us. And we are in advanced talks with a couple of players based out of Singapore and US, who are evaluating Techno Electric as a potential strategic partner for developing data centers. And we should have a good strategic partner on board before the end of this calendar year. Back to you.
Yeah. You see, we are setting up this group in Delhi, where Ankit has moved now. He has already set up a team, and electromechanical works as involved in data center is the forte of Techno Electric, which we are doing for last 30 years in powerhouses, areas like cooling, standby power solutions, power intake solutions, and power storage solutions. There have been firefighting solutions, and we'll be taking a strategic partner for building work. So all this sounds good going forward. With this, I will now open to the house for further any requirement, any information or detailing. Over to you, Ambar.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Ankur Sharma from HDFC Standard Life Insurance. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Good morning. Thanks for your time. Had a couple of questions. One, so if you could just remind us, what was the FY21 order inflow and order book? I think you said 450 crores for the full year in terms of ordering.
Order booked is 450 and 600 crore VRL1, which we expect in this quarter. Any day that should be converted into order.
Okay. And the order backlog, sir, the order book?
Will be 2,000 crores. With 450 crore and by 600 coming in, it will be 2,500 crores.
Okay, fair. So secondly, as we go into FY22, would you like to guide us in terms of sales, margins, and orders as well? And within orders, how you typically give it by segment, how much you are looking at FGDs, transmission, data centers, etc. That would be very helpful.
Sir, basically, traditionally, we have been a T&D company by and large. Although we started mostly as a auxiliary system suppliers to power stations 40 years back, with the first powerhouse being set up by NTPC. That was our first journey. So it used to be mechanical in nature at that time, which grew to electrical and then to transmission with power grid coming in. And we have done number of switchyards, which we still do for NTPC at Meja, at Tanda, at Vindhyachal, at many places we have been doing, and systems of water intake or firefighting solutions we have done in Bongaigaon, Bar, Balur, and we have been part of all powerhouses of the NTPC in some capacity or the other than gas-based by and large, you could say. Similarly, in power grid, we have a huge presence, as you know, I need not repeat. If they have 260 stations countrywide, at least in 125 or 130 techno has been there as greenfield or brownfield extensions. Substantially, we are in all these segments. But coming to this year, business has changed a lot over the years. Every business, every 5 year I see changing tremendously, as a capability. Earlier we used to do more of the 220 kV stations in 2005 and more of DTGY or rural electrification, which by 2010 became 400 kV transmission systems. Then GIS came, then 765 kV came, and then smart metering became part of us, and now we are part of FGD. So in the current year, you can take FGD will definitely be contributing more of the top line, around no less than 40%. Another 40% will come out of the transmission side and distribution, which is our traditional, so we don't see much growth in this area. FGD will grow from 15% to 40%. And another 20% will be out of data center, which we will be building in Chennai in-house. And the top line targeting for this year will be almost around 1250 crores if we don't see much disturbance out of the COVID once again. But in next 9 months, we should be able to otherwise achieve this kind of billing and mix of it.
Okay, so you said sales of 1250 crores. So So how much margins and orders also in value terms?
Order, we definitely are expecting no less than 2,000 or 2,500 crore this year. If government offices continue to work and decide, and margin will continue to be at the present level 15% plus, that is achievable by efficient execution or timely execution.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bhavin Vithlani from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. If you could help us understand what has been the investment portfolio breaking down into what has been mutual funds and how much is the AIF and various corporate bonds. And also, if you could also explain about the 100 crores loans that were given and how should one think about it?
You see, there is no change over last year. We have learned our lessons post IL&FS debacle in the country. So whatever exposure we had in bonds, and as we have liquidity from 400 crore, now it is only 150 crore at the moment, brought down, and balance is all parked in mutual funds only, which are largely debt and short-term schemes of the debt mutual funds, which is almost around 450 crores. Then we have investments of another 100 crore in our joint venture or associate companies additionally, I would say. So, and this 100 crore loan given to McLoy, you see, has been reclassified and reinstated, backed by escrow account of the promoters. Earlier promoters had given this money in the company as a security deposit, which now is transferred to escrow account. You can download our cash flow and balance sheet from the website. You will be having more clarity on it, because the other corporate debtor wanted to take advantage of by citing in NCLT proceeding as if no loan in books means no loan, nothing is due to us. So that is the kind of story it was, whereas the loan was very much part of the current assets at that time also. But nevertheless, to give a specific recognition, we again reinstated the loan by reclassifying the current assets and backed by escrow account to remain honorable to the investors and investing community, and also to honor our commitments to them, that company will suffer no loss on account of non-recoverability.
Just why aren't we paying back the 600 crores of surplus cash to the shareholders? And there is always that risk of misallocation of capital. It seems like our focus is more towards earning a more annuity-like cash flow stream rather than growing the business. If that could be the case, why shouldn't we be paying back to the shareholders, and maybe that could be taken up with the promoter at the personal end, and because this has been impacting the return ratios to a greater extent.
Sir, I think Techno has been very liberal in buyback or dividend payout. We have announced a final dividend of ₹4, which together means 10 rupees or 500% of the face value of the share, and in amount terms also it is under 10 crore. which is almost more than 50% of the bottom line as per our dividend payout policy, and we will continue to be there for long term. Additionally, as highlighted by Kit, we have used program of investment in data centers in next 3-4 years. And liquidity, you see, is always makes you king in the market by honoring your commitments to the suppliers, stakeholders, business risks. So it is always a good idea to have to be cash strong, debt free, and investors should always look for growth in stock value, growth in the company, as well as a decent dividend like we are paying 500%. If you want, if your recommendation is one-time special dividend, I note your point. We'll come back to you during the year.
Sure. That's it from my side. Thank you so much for taking my questions.
Thank you. We would request the participants to please limit their questions to 2 per participant. The next question is from the line of Ranjit Shivram from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Good afternoon.
Good
If you can throw some clarity on the revenue target for FY22, and if you can just throw some more what's our order intake target also for FY22.
Sir, wish and target are becoming every day a concern to us. If you ask me, our top line will be 1250 crore, as I already stated in the first question from HDFC. And target of order intake is 2000 crores this year, or maybe more, if everything goes normal, I will say. And bottom line will at least grow by no less than 25%, if not more.
Okay, and sir, how much of cash we are planning to invest in data center for this year, next year? Is there a timeline earmarked? If you can help us with that.
To start with, it will be around 100 crore. But depending on how soon the partner is in place and what kind of risk-reward he offers us in the relationship, you can say it can range from 100 to 500 crore spread over 3 to 5 years.
Okay, and probably post completion of that, we will try to sell it out and then we will encash that as we are done with the transmission duty. That's the whole talk of it.
Absolutely. You see, Techno is a EPC. We like to remain EPC. We like to build data center not only for us, but for third parties also, because that is the ultimate aim, to acquire capability, proficiency, and to make it a part of our ongoing EPC business. That is the larger focus out of it, and the team is being set up in Delhi to achieve this. Starting with our own data center is only to assure the market that they are in safe hands post my own successful commissioning of a given data center.
Okay, sir. Roughly, what's the total size of this data center industry in the Indian market? What's the total size of this industry? So we get some idea.
As Ankit said, it will be 30 megawatt of IT load or 50 gigawatt of grid connected load to start with.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepesh Agarwal from UTI Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen. My first question is, this Chennai data center which you are building right now, would that be able to absorb your entire power from your wind farm? selling the power to this data center?
You are right, sir. It is sized accordingly because the general PLF what we get in a wind power is no more than 22%. So as such, this 112 megawatt will amount to technically no more than 30 megawatt of the normal power capacity of any thermal generating station, thermal or hydro generating station in a normal power, considering 80% PLF. So exactly the whole power will be consumed. We produce about 200 million units, which we intend consuming fully in this data center, and maybe importing another no more than 25 to 50 million to meet any shortfall.
Right. And at what rate we would be selling the power to this data center? Because I understand we are not getting the entire tariff from the Chennai Discom, from Tamil Nadu Discom. So would there be change in our realization in the wind business?
Absolutely, it will help, sir. Because if we take this power from the grid, it costs around 8 rupees a unit. But I think to have a win-win relationship, we can consider a realization of almost around 5 to 5.5 rupees as against 3 rupee we get now.
Understood. And for the other data centers, would you be building up a renewable project or you would be tying up power from the market?
No, we will be tying the market power, which over the period we may substitute by our own captive powers, because renewables have become a real life-changing story in this country. It is cheaper than thermal. You can do it in 12 months. It is becoming easier to store now going forward, and it is becoming stable and reliable as against in pump power earlier. So technological innovations are happening with every passing day, sir. And I'm very confident that even society will experience this change in years to come. So obviously it will be part of our focus to absorb technological changes, upgradations, and costs accordingly. Renewable power today is available at 3 rupee a unit, which SECI is trying to produce and sell through different entities. So it's a very exciting period for the renewable period, carbon neutral. Over the period we may be carbon positive, which we have not marketed so far so strongly. But trust me, one thing, Techno has been carbon positive for last 10 years. We are so strong in outlook on this side.
Okay. And last question, if I can squeeze. When you say that you are looking for a strategic partner in data center, would you be looking for a partner even at the construction phase, reason being it may impact your valuation, or would you wait for project getting commissioned and such a market-related valuation, which is typically high when we see the global valuation of data centers?
Sir, we will need a partner at the conception stage, honestly, because these high-end customers all have very specialized requirement when it comes to hyperscale, supernode data centers. They all have their customized typical requirements, which are only known to these data center operators. Otherwise, we are mostly in India used to co-location data centers or enterprise solution data centers, which are low-end applications. So we have a vision to be part of the high-end, and getting a partner at the conception stage will help.
Understood. Thank you, and good luck for future.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sandeep Tulsiyan from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, a very good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon, Sandeep.
Sir, first question.
Everything fine at your end and family end?
Yes, sir, everything is fine. I hope things are working fine at your end also, and all your family and employees, everybody is keeping safe.
Yeah.
Yes. So first question is putting some of these large orders which we have in the book. a lot of them were booked, towards the end of 2019, and we have seen a sharp increase in commodity prices in the last 6 months when these orders are in the bulk execution phase, the DVC order, the Jammu Kashmir order, and the Rampur order. So if you can just help us how the price escalation clause will work on some of these contracts. Although we are making very good margins now, will there be any impact on the margins overall?
Sir, cost and margin is a two sides of the same coin, and it is a ongoing challenge all the time in any industry, in any market. But engineering capability is one thing which always helps you in improving your efficiency, better use of these commodities and materials, redesigning, redefining their engagement in the project solutions. So basically, you see, don't look on this business like PNC. It is a EPC. So Techno's capability is E more than PNC, sir. And PNC happens by virtue of being cash liquid in market. So we get, firstly, we engineer very optimal solutions, meeting the challenges all the time. Sometimes solutions are more skewed in favor of iron, sometimes they are more skewed in favor of concrete, cement, sometimes they are more skewed in favor of copper, depending on how commodity prices behave. So accordingly, you have to do engineering. So that is the forte of Techno, that we rejuggle and juggle our solutions in a manner that we still can deliver the same very solution on a committed price with no erosion of margin. Yes, it is a challenge, but it's a part of life. So this do not worry us, sir. We have seen this cycle many times in the past also. And there is no one single commodity which dominates our solutions. They are well distributed, across the elements in the solution. So no single element is more than 5-10% in the solution. So we are by and large able to take it in our stride. And luckily, generally as a policy of procurement, Power Grid do not include transformer reactors, which are high value, high cost, nor I am producer of one as a solution provider. So that is, the rest of the solution is perfectly optimized within the cost structure. So we don't see any impact on margin. And we will, like earlier we used to do 765 kV solution in 3 years. Last year we delivered this solution in 12 months at Badla to Power Grid, which is a history in itself in the country. That how can a 765 kV station be built in 12 months despite COVID? So all the productivity levels are high. You take care of your labor. We have vaccinated all our employees, laborers, camps, villagers all around us. So you have to carry out this whole process as a mission, as a passion. So everybody takes care of your health also in turn.
Understood. And probably our guidance also of 15% margin versus we delivered 18% last year kind of takes care of whatever escalation.
I have always maintained 15%, sir, plus minus. Yes, we'll definitely target more, but for guidance, I will always say 15%.
So second question is on these new orders between 2,000 to 2,500 crores that you have shared. How much of data center part does it include? And if you can break up between, say, how much is going to come from the TBCB part? Are there any FG orders, D orders you built in? How much of smart meters and anything you built in from those export orders of Afghanistan and Africa? If you can give us a breakup on a broader basis, it will help.
Broadly, you can take it like 1,000 crore out of FGD, another 500 crore out of transmission, 2 to 250 crore export businesses, and one TBCB package of about 400 crores. 350, 400 crores, and some distribution packages of another 250 crores. So all packed together 2,500 crores. But there may be some variation here and there, sir. But by and large, this is our mindset.
Understood. And sir, just one clarification.
Data center will be another 500 crore, as I said.
Data center will be another 500 crore. Got it. Okay. So just one clarification. You mentioned in your opening remarks this 100 crore ICD which was given to Macleod. I think last year it was not appearing in our assets, but now it is reinstated. So you mentioned some reason, I kind of missed it in the opening remarks. If you can just clarify that again.
Kindly refer to clarification on accounts parked in our website. It will amply clarify you. Otherwise, you are welcome to send me a mail. I will further engage one-to-one with you.
Sure, sir. No problem. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We would request the participants to please limit their questions to 2 per participant. The next question is from the line of Renu Baid from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Renu. See, always listening to you is very inspiring.
Right. So equally always valuable to listen to your views and insights on the sector and trends which are picking up. And also to highlight that you've always been among the first in the industry to identify the emerging trends, in this case data centers coming in. So my first question is on the data center segment itself. You mentioned that apart from using the cash as well as the EMP capabilities, you want to build up steady state capabilities in data center EPC segment, AMP segment. So if you can elaborate in terms of what are the kind of initiatives you have done to build up the teams to execute the EPC of these projects, and apart from the in-house data center that we are planning to execute, what are we doing in terms of getting the PQs from other consultants to qualify for large data centers which are coming up on EPC basis?
Let me ask ma'am Ankit to answer this query, who is heading this center, who is heading this division for us. Ankit, will you please take over this question?
Yeah, sure. Basically, we're building a team in Delhi, and we've already started the process of building the team, and we're trying to take people who have been established in this industry for at least the last 5-6 years. One needs to keep in mind that data center as an industry is not something which is matured. It is still very new. The scale of data centers that we are talking about today have not been practiced in the industry ever, and it's a trend of only last 1 or 2 years. The resources which are available in the industry with the existing players are also very, very limited, and the benefit that Techno holds over here is this industry is more or less if you look at the people who are governing the industry or who are running the shows, have all come from power sector, because power is what has to be handled majorly in these projects, and they are also sized in megawatt. Having said that, while we are engaging with people and we are onboarding people who have experience of building, even if it is a small data center, from companies like L&T or other data center operators which are existing, Techno already has those skill sets, because we have about 250-300 odd engineers from power sector, and basically even if you look at people who are engaged with other data center operators or EPC companies who are delivering data centers, also have professionals coming from power sector only. So it really doesn't require a very large team to be set up or very new team to be set up, but a few senior level position people who can guide the existing team to the right direction for building these data centers. So that work is already ongoing, and we have decided to base this team out of Delhi, because it's easier to find people from IT, ITS background and power sector in Delhi rather than Calcutta. So that call we have taken to set up this team in Delhi, Gurgaon, and that's what we are working towards. We've already hired at least 4 professionals. We have our head of design engineering in place. We have a senior person in business development from L&T already in place with us, and we have people in Chennai for specific works, And the team is ongoingly being shaped as the requirement is coming forward, and hopefully we'll build a team of at least 10-15 individuals based in Delhi, Gurgaon. That will basically channelize the team back in Calcutta.
So in addition to captive requirement, by when are you targeting to start participating in external projects for third-party operators or owners there?
We've already started doing that. We started engaging with data center operators. And so we are in talks with one of the data center operators based out of Singapore for doing a small EPC job for their upcoming data center in Bombay. Then going forward, we're already in talks with a couple of other data center operators who are looking for us to participate in smaller packages of their upcoming data center, as well as in providing them with renewable energy in those specific states, wherever their data centers are coming. So these kind of conversations have already started. We need to be a little more aggressive as far as bagging EPC orders in data center is concerned, but it is going to be a little time taking because we don't have specific experience and qualifications with us. So marketing ourselves in this sector is going to be a little more time taking and may take about another 6 months to establish ourselves as an EPC contractor in the industry. But that journey has already started and those conversations have already begun. So one of the conversations is already in an advanced stage.
Sure. Thank you. My second question is to Gupta sir, asking an understanding on for a lot of projects, be it on the FGD side for certain components or for the smart meters, we have always had some tie-ups and efficient sourcing arrangement with counterparts from Asia. Now that the government has been a bit more sticky in terms of not allowing companies or sourcing for power projects coming in from the Chinese counterparts, how are we looking at the sourcing arrangement for the equipment side? Would it now move more of domestic sourcing, or are we looking at alternative sourcing arrangements from other global vendors?
No, ma'am. We will continue to, discover the sources, competent sources, and as available, like FGD, we have a Korean partner now. We have one Korean company has approached us for meter business also. Because India is a hub now where a lot of growth has to happen in these segments, which rest of the world has already progressed with and have the desired capability with them. And obviously there are local sources also. But as the businesses are becoming more complex and risk is growing, so many CapEx also are becoming hybrid of CapEx and OpEx. So this business of product and project will start segregating going forward. So this will be another edge to Techno, in terms of leading the pack. Having delivered 400 projects in last 40 years in all terrains and challenges countrywide, right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and northeast to Mumbai. So I think Techno has a know-how and ability to synergize solution in a given pocket. That is very important in India. Nothing works as a standard way of life, standard solution, which is relevant in one pocket is not relevant in another pocket, ma'am. Like even our language, culture, habits, way of looking on issues change with every state, every pocket. Similarly, in projects, you have to be very localized. It's a very localized business, pocket-specific business. And that has been forte of Techno, to preserve cost, preserve margin, as well as deliver project in time, because we absorb all those things faster than many others. Because that is the character of the company, and that should be true character of any good project company, to my mind.
Got it. And so one last question, if I can ask, do you have any plans to foray or look at opportunities in the clean energy segment, be it energy storage or otherwise on the hydrogen or other side?
Obviously, ma'am, we will keep exploring. Definitely, we are not deep. Look, let me tell you, we are a solution company.
Right.
we are definitely not a life cycle investment company in asset. That is not our business. We create life cycle assets for somebody to own. But acquiring technologies, improving on technologies, integrating those technologies as a part of our solutions is always strengthening us to remain time relevant and also offer a complete competitive solution to a asset owner as required. So these are definitely of our interest, use interest, and if required, we will ourselves like to invest in first one or two solutions to gain experience, gain comfort out of the use of it, and then market that comfort to the investor. So that I must take a risk. If I want a high reward out of my businessman, then I have to take high risk also. That capability my company must have.
Thank you. We would request the current participant to please come back in the question queue for any follow-up questions, as we have several participants waiting for their turn. The next question is from the line of Rohit Balakrishnan from iThought PMS. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, hi, sir. Sir, on this intercorporate deposit of 100 crores, I just wanted to understand. Sir, please correct me if I'm wrong, sir. In the previous calls also, I think in the last year's balance sheet, we had reversed this 100 crores by the promoter, the company getting back this money and the promoter paying this 100 crores, taking it on their own books. And subsequently, and this matter was closed in a sense. And now I have gone through the note. What I understand is that we have now taken an escrow, and whatever the deficit will be taken from that escrow, which is guaranteed by the promoter in a sense. Just wanted to understand, sir, even to get here, I understood that we had already closed this matter by the promoters taking it on their own books and not on the company's books. So this was a bit surprising, sir. Can you please help me clarify this point?
That is right to me on one-to-one because the corporate debtor uses my submissions in these kind of conferences in the legal proceedings. So whatever note states and your takeaway is, you give me one-to-one call, I'll explain. No issue. But
okay, sir. I will do that.
I will request you that note is very sufficient and explicitly detailing and is sufficient for investor guidance. That company carries no risk on its own, and if there is any shortfall in recovery, will be made good by the promoters. That commitment we continue to our investors and to be honorable in the eyes of our investors.
No, sir, I understand. Okay, fine. I get what you're saying. I will write you one-on-one to get more clarity. Sir, the larger point, I think somebody earlier also raised this point. So we are in our business in the EPC segment and also in the transmission segment. I think we are second to none as can be seen by the strength of the balance sheet and also the kind of margins and the kind of risk we take. We are very risk averse, and that is something very, very good thing, especially in our business. But sir, if you look at the excess cash, and I also agree to your point that you've given cash out and you've been generous by doing buyback of 100 crores and paying dividend of 110 odd crores this time, 130 odd crores this time. But sir, like some of the things that we have been doing in the last 2-3 years, and I'm sorry for being a bit blunt about this, but last couple of years, first was the issue of IL&FS and now this again Metroid thing. While in both the cases we have not had any write-offs as such. In the Metroid case you are guaranteeing and also in IL&FS. But sir, it just puts a spot on our otherwise very clean track record and governance that we've had both on the business side and also on the capital allocation side. So this is just, I'm sorry, but this is just a small feedback been an investor in the company for a fairly long time, but just I also have gone through a lot of your publicly available conference calls and investor-related materials, and I've really enjoyed reading whatever you talk about the industry. But I mean, both from a value creation point and also from a risk mitigation point, I would say that, I mean, if we can repay that extra cash, or if you don't see any business deployment opportunity, I think that the markets will reward us handsomely rather than these adventures, if I may add that word.
But your two observations, I will be very honest to both of them. More than a year back, I had sought a pardon from the investor community that our lessons are learned and there will be no mistakes in the future, and we mean it in letter and spirit. Nobody in India thought an experience like IL&FS as it happened, and but I am more complainant the way it got dealt thereafter. Let me put it both. Otherwise, there was a lot of value in the company for recovery, nevertheless. But coming to our part, that gradually we are substantially reduced our exposure to bond business. It is no more than under 50 crore now. Whatever money we have recovered is all parked in mutual funds. They are all short-term or liquid funds at best. And you can see from the present balance sheet that no more bond book has grown, and your money is all safe and secured. And we have also talked about how we intend utilizing this money going forward with building other businesses. Because the money needs changes with the change in the industry cycle. Going forward, I see two changes. One, of course, is a diversification in data centers, what we have talked. And number two, this capex business as happening in India in EPC segment will get partially converted into OPEX business as an opportunity, for which you will again need your own capital. So I think we are handsomely rewarding the shareholders by a dividend policy of 50% distribution of the bottom line every year, as well as preserving cash to meet any challenge or change in way of doing the business we are in.
Sure, sir. Sir, my two questions on the business itself. So, we had outlined, I mean, a very helpful outlining of the data center business. So this ramp up of 8 to 10 times that we are envisioning from 30 megawatts to 250 to 300 megawatts, this we are envisioning in the three cities that we are sort of thinking, or this is more beyond three cities? So Chennai, Calcutta, and Hyderabad will take us to 250 to 300 megawatts, or will we need Bombay and Delhi as well to be added for us to reach that level? And sir, one more question. This 30 megawatt will the Chennai, which is coming upfront, this you expect to be up and running by FY24, or will take more than that? And what kind of top line will that give us from an EPC standpoint?
Ankit, will you like to answer this question, please?
Could you please repeat?
Yeah, so I was asking, sir.
He is asking first, when is your Chennai project getting completed and commissioned? And number two, what top line it will generate? And thirdly, whether your 250, 300 megawatt will be limited to 3 stations as named by you, or will include Navi Mumbai and Noida also? These are the 3 questions by him. Please answer one by one.
Right. See, most likely we should be able to commission the project in Chennai by December 22. And you see, the revenue over here might be broken into phases, because even the data center might get developed over phases. By December 22, let's say we should be able to develop 10 megawatt of data center and commission it completely and hand over the first phase, that is the 10 megawatt, to any potential customer. And as the customer acquisition progresses, we should be able to keep developing additional megawatts up to, let's say, 50 megawatt, and that would be the end of the project. But then it will keep developing over phases, and revenue will keep flowing accordingly. So hopefully we'll be able to complete the whole project over the next 2-3 years time, and hand over the complete 50 megawatt to a single customer. So therefore the revenue might get staggered as per the phases that we keep developing it. But once it is completely developed, I think we should have a revenue of approximately 225 crores or 230 crores approximately from each of these data centers. And the total capacity of 250 megawatt will be obviously developed over at least 4 or 5 cities in India, depending on each data center size. But let's assuming that each data center will be anywhere between 30 to 50 megawatt, it would be developed over 4 to 5 cities. And the 3 which I mentioned specifically were Chennai, Calcutta, Hyderabad, which are the first few projects that we want to target to begin with, and then maybe explore Noida and Navi Mumbai. But it also strongly depends on a strategic partner, what his business plans are going to be, because most of the strategic partners that we are discussing with want to be in Mumbai to begin with, and Chennai are those 2 targets. So we have to align our business plans with their business plans and see how we progress. But in our opinion, if we have to do it, we would like to begin with Chennai, go to Calcutta, come to Hyderabad, and then the other 2 cities.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sagar Sanghi from Ad Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question, sir. Sir, one question on the balance sheet side. The previous participant had also asked the same question. So, of the total 800 crore of cash that we are carrying on the balance sheet, how much would go for data center over next 1 or 2 years? And how much is the regular cash requirement for the regular operations of EPC business? And since you will be generating about 200 to 250 crore a year of free cash every year, so how do we plan to utilize the same?
But the cash utilized in the data center over next 2 to 3 years can be up to 500 crore, as I explained, and depending on the partner's own commitment, ranging from 51% to 74%, and how it gets deployed. So it can range from 100 to 500 crores anywhere, number one. But number two, we also see this capex business becoming OPEX going forward, like in smart meters or even maybe transmission assets like TBCB and others, or more businesses happening in the states also going forward, in sub-transmission also as TBCB, as suggested by the Government of India, MOP as well as CA. So this business is at a very influx stage now, which has happened traditionally over last 20 years, is no more going to be there for next 2 years as we see the change. So we want to stay prepared to meet any contingency in terms of requirement of funds or cash availability with us, and also continue to reward investors significantly and sufficiently. So 500% dividend is no small reward, sir, to my mind, and we will continue to maintain it, if not improve on it. But we will continue to evaluate, as you have suggested, our requirement of funds, and keep updating you in the investor call.
So you mentioned the capex will turn into OPEX, so that means the working capital should go up for us.
Yeah, you can say kind of it means you will get paid only when project is complete and handed over. So working capital will be long term. No project happens in our industry which has a cycle of less than 2 years. So it means you have to fund for 2 to 2.5 years. And say if 50% of top line becomes more of a OPEX, then your requirement will immediately go to 500-600 crore or more to maintain the top line. So I would say that these are speculative in nature at the moment. Let's not get worried about it. The more important part is that your company is strong enough to address all these challenges as they emerge in the market and maintain its strong presence by reward to you.
So last thing, how much would be the retention money that would be given by us?
About it is 200 crores, sir. The total as of now it is a total is about 200 crores. You can take 10% of the top line of 2 years. That will give you a thumb down.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. That was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Ambar Singhania.
Thank you, Aisha. On behalf of Asian Market Securities, we thank everyone for participating in this call. Special thanks to the management for giving us the opportunity to host this call. Sir, would you like to add any closing remarks?
Yeah, absolutely. I will first of all like to thank you for all the participants to join the call despite COVID and all challenges of COVID with them, around them. Still, in case any one of them have any query related to our performance, please drop a mail to us and we'll be happy to reply. And similarly, I will repeat my invitation to them because we are located in Calcutta. So anybody dropping in this side is welcome to drop in our office and see how we exactly carry out our operations. So you will be our honored guest. I would like to now with this close the conference and thank everybody for joining it. Thank you so much, Ambar, for organizing it.
Our pleasure, sir. Thank you. With this, we can close this call. Aisha?
Thank you. On behalf of Asian Market Securities, that concludes this conference. Thank you everyone for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.